Charity McNally, and I'm an early childhood educator and mother to 3 young kids. I've been working in the field of early childhood education for over 15 years and have come across just about every sleep story you can imagine from families. We're going to be creating a series of videos to help navigate some big questions our society has around the mysteries of bedtime. In today's video, I'm going to be talking about knowing thyself or playing to your strengths. Because whenever families come to talk about helping their kids sleep and why won't my kids sleep, and we so often leave ourselves out of the equation as caregivers and parents. We are a vital part about successful sleeping for our children. Obviously, there's lots of things that come into play around sleep, and I don't want to minimize that at all. There's lots of different genetics at play and neurotypes and sensory needs that factor into sleep as well. So I'm not trying to take away from that part of the conversation, but just for an approach that we just make sure that we're also being reflective of our role in sleep and not always focusing completely on the child, because sometimes we are a part of what's happening at nighttime. Most of the time we are, kids look to us to be that comfort and that consistency and it's kind of setting the tone for that sleep's not a big deal. You know, we're all going to get the rest that we need because we've created this environment that provides rest. What we need to do is we do need to reflect on what are our strengths and also maybe take that time to figure out what our expectations are around bedtime. Because sometimes it's as simple as that we have expectations that are above a child's developmental needs. Or for me right now, we have a child transitioning into a different stage of life and they need less sleep than their siblings. And it's hard to get your head around that fear that no one's getting enough. So there's lots of times where sometimes maybe our expectations just need to be kind of checked, or we have expectations for ourselves that are always going to leave us feeling like failures. Like maybe we don't have energy for 3 bedtime stories. So this is just that invitation to take time to reflect on your strengths. I'm going to start with a personal story about where this theory really came into play for me and my family. When my first 2 children were very, very small, I was home all day with them and provided childcare for some neighborhood families. And my husband was away all day. So when we'd come home, we'd play, and he really wanted that experience because I got to read books to them all day of doing the bedtime stories and cuddling up. But what would happen most nights is that I would hear giggling and I would walk into the room and there'd be 2 small children awake and a very rested parent asleep after reading books. So that was not a successful sleep solution at the time. And I was really struggling through the transition of brushing teeth and bath time. The kids and I'd been kind of guiding them all day and they were just all done listening to me. So I was struggling with that time of day. So the parts of the bedtime routine, neither one of us were playing to our strengths, and we were not getting the rest we needed. And I was having these lovely days followed by these really frustrated few hours at the end of the day. We had to stop and think about why that was happening. So I am a morning person and I have lots of energy until about 3 p.m. and then it's all downhill from there. My husband came home from work and had tons of energy, and that was a way that he was able to connect with the kids and make that fun and still had lots of space for it to be very games-based. So we were able to turn bedtime around for our family. But the biggest part of knowing ourselves is also to stop comparisons. Before we continue on with the other videos in this series, we just need to know that accepting and being honest with ourselves about what our needs are after a long day with children and what we have space for. Maybe we thrive on a schedule so that what brings us energy. Maybe the transition to bed is going to be short because that's all we have time for and we've had too many transitions that day. Maybe you really need some time alone before jumping into the bedtime routine. So you need to put on a show or have a neighborhood kid come over and play with your kids because you just need a few minutes alone after all of the stages of work you've had that day. Maybe we need to call on some support from somebody to help with that part. So all of these things are perfectly normal and acceptable needs for us to have as parents. And when we honor our strengths, it removes a lot of the stress and reactions to our kids around bedtime and helps us get in the right frame of mind to make it a supportive and warm environment so that sleep doesn't start out as stressful. So this is the beginning of our journey, and I hope you'll come along with us on the ride.